Hi.
Hi.
I want to take my first minute.
Okay.
So we've discussed that in the Giver episode, you were like, yeah, Ariel, I Googled, I know Jonas isn't dead.
Yes.
But I've always felt like, because I had done the Google myself, and I felt like the internet was a little ambiguous about the whole thing.
Right.
Like, was he dead? Was he not dead? I'm now on the fourth in the quartet.
Quartet.
It is called a quartet. Now, this is the only book that doesn't say quartet on it.
That means 4, whereas trilogy means 3.
Thank you. Thank you so
welcome.
much. They didn't know
The
that.
Uglies is also a quartet.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I never heard that term until I started reading these books. Jonas is so alive.
Yeah.
How is there any ambiguity by AI? Like, how did the compute? Oh, because people don't care.
Well, I think it's, I think what it is a lot of that is drawn from just the ending of The Giver. If you ignore that there are 3 other books, he could easily be dead.
I know. I think
But no, I mean, like, what
But when you were like, yeah, there's a guy with blue eyes, like, they make it very clear
Right.
in the third
Well,
book.
yes.
He's a main character.
Yeah, Reddit was like, hey, in Messenger, it's all about him, and his name is Jonas.
They talk about the sled and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
I did not know the severity. So I just, I wanted to start off by saying, what did I want to say? I guess that's the price you pay for never reading past book 1. Hello, people, and welcome back to the Book Watchers Club. Goodness.
TBWC, baby.
I like BWC. The TBWC feels like a lot. But I like the BWC.
The BWC.
There we go. My name is Ariel.
And I'm Chelsea.
And the Book Watchers Club is a club for people who watch books that are made into movies and TV shows and miniseries. Though we haven't done any of those yet. And
We did a miniseries.
we did. Pride and Prejudice is gone. I walk out of the room, things are done. Today we'll be talking about Howl's Moving Castle
I cannot wait.
by Diana Wynne Jones. I am so happy I finally own this book. I bought a copy for our show. I've been librarying it for 2 years. Yeah. Are you noticing? Yeah.
Is that the original cover?
No.
Or is that a cover based off the movie?
No. Because this castle is completely different than the movie castle.
It is.
But the original cover, goes into, this was originally published in 1986.
Jeez.
That's what I thought. I was like, whoa, geez. 86. So the original cover is, in my opinion, a little frightening. If I've seen the correct cover. We're both looking it up.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Is it the one with the
demon?
the demon face?
Yes, that's the one that I'll put up. That's Calcifer. That's a correct rendition of Calcifer. Yeah, so in my opinion, terrifying.
Really scary.
I love this
Scary
cover,
stuff.
though. I think this cover is great, and
Yeah.
the set is great, the set of books. But it looks like it has a few different covers. It's been around for a
Yeah.
while.
It's been around since the 80s.
This is...
Some might say.
Some. Historians,
Not me.
Historians may say it's been around since the 80s. They would be
I don't
right.
say that, though.
They
I don't
would
claim to know anything.
I will say this cover was made after the movie came out, I think, because I think she mentions the movie. Yeah, because it's got in here that it was
made into a movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The movie was made in 2005.
Correct.
Yeah. And to keep things interesting for our show, I have read the book and watched the movie.
I watched the movie for the first time, apparently, last night.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sounded like you had some questions.
I have a lot of questions, but I want you to
Yeah.
talk and see if mine get answered
Perfect.
before.
We go into it. Yeah.
Yes, I want to hear your summation. I wonder how different it. I guess, whatever. Please, please, my fearless host, take me on a journey.
I have inserted a Q&A section at the end of my script.
Great.
So we're going to go through my slides, and then we'll host a brief Q&A. You all can ask your questions.
Yes.
We'll pass the mic around.
Yeah. Kyle might have some too.
Oh, that's great. That would be funny. All right. In case anybody needs a refresher on the story, here's my synopsis.
Great.
In the land of Ingery, in the town of Market Chipping, lives Sophie Hatter. Sophie, the eldest of 3 sisters, works in her family's hat shop mending hats. Being the eldest sister, Sophie has resigned herself to a boring life with no success or adventure, until one day when the Witch of the Waste comes into her shop, lays a curse on her that gives her the body of a 90-year-old woman. You will never be able to tell anyone you are cursed, the witch says, and so Sophie does what we would all do in this situation. She resigns herself to her fate and decides to walk off into the world with no real plan at all. Quickly into her journey, though, Sophie comes across the castle of the wizard Howl, moving its way across the fields above Market Chipping. She jumps inside the castle in hopes of finding a warm place to rest, and so begins her unexpected journey to break a fire demon's curse, save the king's brother, and most importantly, stop Howl from eating girls' hearts. So
right.
How did that
Naturally.
resonate?
I mean,
Yeah.
that is, yes and no, it is the plot of the movie, right? Like, but it seems like Howl's moving castle isn't something that she just stumbles upon. It's like a known, I mean, she's still she's brought to, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not like we see it at the very start and everyone's like, oh, it's moving. Like, and Sophie is in search of a wizard to break the curse for her. She doesn't wander aimlessly into the woods
In the movie.
In
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
Movie speaking.
Yes, movie speaking, she is looking for someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Book speaking, nah.
She's
Basically,
just leaving,
she gets turned
leaving the
into
world
an
behind.
old woman. She looks at her hands, she looks at herself in the mirror, and she went, yeah, that makes sense, and leaves. She's not worried, like, the scene where she's like, calm down, don't be afraid, don't be scared, and then she goes to her room, cries. Yeah, nah, Sophie was just like, well, I can't tell anyone, so I'll just go. But yeah.
So we remove a sister also in the movie.
We do. How did you know that?
You said 3, and we
Oh, that's
only
a good
meet
point.
the one sister.
I was like, how did you get that spoiler? Me. Yes, we did remove a
You're my
sister.
spoiler alert.
I want that on a shirt. You're my spoiler alert. Yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
Okay.
She's 3.
I'm trying to think if I have any other questions. So, like, her meeting Howl at the start is not a thing that happens.
It does.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Please.
Don't you worry.
Okay.
But hold on to that because I don't know if I specifically... Actually, we can just talk about it really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So the difference is... Nope, we've got to go into other...
Yeah.
All
Lead
right,
me.
we're back on track.
Lead me down the path. Spoil me.
You are correct,
Harder,
though.
Daddy. I'm so sorry. I should be arrested.
The castle is moving over the fields of Market Chipping. So when Howl's castle shows up, it is, people are like, oh my God, it's Howl. But it ain't a cute thing. They're like, he's going to steal your daughter's soul or eat her heart.
Right. Especially if she's beautiful.
Yeah, just in general.
Yeah.
Sophie is just very attached to the fact that Sophie doesn't feel beautiful. So
my very first thought when I was watching it was, is it called that because it's a creature, it's a house on legs? Yes.
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 Yeah, actually,
If anything, very to the point.
from what I can read, from what I have read.
She can read.
I can read. I have read. I don't think it has legs at all. I think it floats. I'm not 100% sure, but I've never read specifically that it has legs. But do I love this castle? I do. I mean, it's not completely correct, but I do love this castle, and I allow for its legs. And the book castle is something real special.
Great.
It's steampunk. Not the book castle, the movie castle.
Yes.
The movie castle.
When you said steampunk, I was like, oh.
No,
Yeah.
no.
The movie castle is something.
It's something real special.
Yep.
I think it's very beautiful to look at.
We had also so much pollution in the very first scene of the movie. Crazy.
Big theme.
We've got Howl's castle emitting smoke, and then there's the trains, and then tanks and planes, and there was just smoke everywhere. I just have to get that off my chest.
No, it's great. I didn't even think about the fact that the smoke could have come from Howl's castle. That mist was him.
I just am including it because it was also a vehicle.
Yeah, good point. I think that's actually a good segue, though.
Yeah.
Into the reason I kept the summary pretty short is because at a certain point, the two stories are just going to go in different directions.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to know.
And the chain of events ends up being really different. So it's important to distinguish that you're going to have two different experiences when you read the book and watch the movie. I'd be surprised if someone was like, yeah, I felt the same things and it was really together, you know?
Yeah.
And that's because, from everything I can read on the internet and see, the movie is created as a statement about the war in Iraq. So that's like, yeah.
Sorry, you said the movie is.
The movie. I'm sorry. I'm going to switch that up.
No, you said movie.
Did I?
I was like, it couldn't be the book,
No,
right?
it couldn't be. 86.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And the book came out in 1986.
Yeah, 2005, war in Iraq. That makes a lot of sense.
And that's why when he was nominated for the Oscar, if I'm correct, he didn't show up because he's like, it's a protest piece about an American war. I'm not going to show up to your American film festival.
Pretty cool, honestly.
You know, so that
big Miyazaki fan over here.
I know, right? That's a huge difference because there's
no war in Iraq.
No war.
I'm sorry.
I knew that would happen. I was waiting for it.
What? He's not like being pestered by kingdoms to be their war wizard?
The war is mentioned I counted 2 sentences in my last read, and it's projected in a couple years there will be a war brought to them by other neighboring nations, I guess. But there is an army. The king has an army. Mm-hmm. There is no theme of war at all.
Whoa.
And that's where yesterday when you and me are snapping back and forth, I was like, there is something very different. And I can't tell you what that thing is.
I'm glad you didn't.
Maybe it'll open your eyes to why...
you got my pure, untampered with reaction.
It was everything I wanted it to be.
Great.
So my the way I reconcile it is that because the first watch, I was upset.
Sure.
I'm very canon attached. I was like, what on earth just happened? My second watch, I'm more forgiving. I'm more open. By the other
by
thing
the
is like
watch. What are you thinking?
Didn't get that far. But the other thing is that like my first watch, I hadn't watched a lot of adaptations at that point. There's a certain point where you watch enough adaptations where you go, okay, where are they going to go different? It's just going to be part of the art form,
right?
You know. But my kind of thinking is that they start off in the same place. Sophie getting cursed, her coming to the castle, meeting Calcifer and Michael. But then the book goes right and stays in this very light-hearted romance adventure. And it's all about breaking the curses. Mm-hmm. The movie goes left and says, what if all of this was going on during a horrible war? So what would these characters do if they were put in this war situation?
Yeah.
So they graze through some of the big things that happen, big being like the green slime and Howl getting his heart, Calcifer going back into Howl, you know? Those are things that happen. Mm-hmm. But because they made it all set around the war theme, it just goes that way.
Yep.
Well, the book is like this way. Wow. I have a question. Did you catch why the war was happening?
No.
Yep. Okay. I only caught it in a brief passing line. I think this is what it is. I'm pretty sure they took the inspiration from the book that the king's brother, Prince Justin, has gone missing.
Oh, yes.
So at the end, when the Scarecrow becomes Prince Justin, this is about the war is happening because Prince Justin goes missing.
Okay, and then I did catch that line. I didn't realize that was the
reason for the whole war. And I was reading Reddit, and they were saying another element is that at the end, when Madame Solomon calls off the war, it like happens like that to kind of prove that it's like meaningless, you know?
Yeah.
And there's really no purpose. They're just using an excuse for one. I hadn't thought about that. In the book, just to fill you in, paint the picture a little bit more, what they're basing it off of. So we have the Witch of the Waste. She threatens... Yes, in the movie, she is a terrifying woman. And when she walks up those stairs, I wanted to vomit. So in the book, the Witch of the Waste threatens the king's daughter. The king's daughter is a baby. like baby. She's way
Oh, so it's giving Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah. So the king sends his royal wizard, Wizard Solomon, to go to the witch and like get rid of her or something. Like he wants him to deal with it. Wizard Solomon goes missing. And so Prince Justin is sent to go find Wizard Solomon. So it becomes this two guys are sent out. Prince Justin goes missing. And so as the book goes on, Howl keeps trying to avoid the king because he's like, I don't want to go find Prince Justin. You can't make me do it. And so that's, I think, where they took it from.
Okay.
And the reason the king wants Howl to get the prince right now is because he says the neighboring areas are going to attack them in a year or two. He's like, I'll give you the whole year to find Prince Justin, so it's not imminent. But yeah. For any reader of the book, I feel like everybody knew that things were going to change when Howl went up to the door in the movie, and you've got that spinning wheel of the colors, and he turned it to black, and he walked out, and it wasn't Wales. That's Wales, Britain, not Wales, the mammal.
Isn't it Wales, Cardiff?
I don't know. Is it Wales? Wait, what? Where's Cardiff? Isn't Cardiff in Wales?
No, Wales is in Cardiff.
Wales is in Cardiff.
And Cardiff is technically part of the UK.
Cardiff is the capital of Wales.
Oh, I'm saying the wrong thing. You're
and
right.
Wales is in Great Britain.
Yes. Yep.
Good.
Great.
Good. Cleared it up.
I never took geography in my defense.
You know, that's fine. I would have been more upset at myself than I would have been at you because you can't watch British television every day of your entire life and not... I've
been to Cardiff.
That's maybe where you got it from.
Yeah.
It's more... you're right. You should be more embarrassed.
Yeah, I
But
bought a little spoon there.
You bought a little Cardiff spoon?
A little Cardiff spoon.
It's on my list. I have not gone to Wales.
I liked it.
I've done Scotland, but I haven't done Wales. So we're gonna do Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England next time.
Gorgeous.
I gotta do it.
You've gotta.
I mean, it's gonna be my 4th time there. I gotta do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I'm sorry. So he opens it, and we're not in Wales. We're at war or whatever.
We're in
wherever
a war zone.
Yeah.
It's not specified. And when I tried to find out, they were kind of like, it's a war zone.
Yeah.
It's where the war is happening. I think it's supposed to reflect that where they are is kind of like the ignorance of what's going on because they're celebrating the soldiers and it's really nice and everything's pretty. And then when he goes, he's seeing the reality of the war that's being. It might be he's there in America and he's in Iraq and that's what's going on.
Yeah.
But in the book,
it's
Wales because Howl is not from Ingray. I do not know how he got to Wales. She might say it in further books. Obviously, I haven't read any other books. It's me. But he's a complete outsider who found his way. So when he goes to the Black Dot, it takes him to his sister's house. And it gives you this really nice juxtaposition between the flamboyant Howl in this magical land and the Howl there who's walking around in baggy pants and a Welsh rugby jacket. And his sister's just yelling at him all the time, saying he's like no good. And
okay.
Yeah, it's
very different.
And also, there's this entire character that doesn't exist in the movie. Her name is Mrs. Angoria or Miss Angoria, and because they got rid of Wales, Miss Angoria went too.
She was in Wales.
She is in Wales.
She's with the whales, they say.
She's with the whales in Wales. They have whales in Wales?
I don't know.
Leave in the comments, are there whales in Wales? We'll put up a poll. It'll make no sense.
Everyone's gonna be like, isn't this a book podcast?
But yes, I think it's not. Okay. It gives a lot of dimension to Howl. At one point, he's like realizing that the Witch of the Waste has finally found him and is gonna come for him, and so he is really happy because it's about to be like the Midsummer Festival and he's going to go back to Wales and get really wasted with his rugby club. And he's pretty excited about that. And he does.
Wow.
Let's talk about Howl.
Yeah, please.
So
I like to call him Christian Bale, actually.
That's completely appropriate for me, in my opinion. Yep. So Howl is a really handsome, really talented guy. He thinks a lot of himself. He happens to be a really powerful wizard. That tracks.
Yep. So far, so good.
I'm curious, was the connection between Howl and Calcifer clear to you? Like, did you understand Calcifer's curse, his connection to Howl? I could, because I knew, I couldn't tell if that was clearly pointed out in the movie.
All Calcifer would say, like, over and over again was that if he died, Howl died. Yeah. And so, but I wasn't sure what a fire demon curse had to do with Howl's life.
Yep.
And I guess the way I saw it was that Howl had cursed him. Or like, well, I was like, why is he here tied to Howl's life? And why isn't Howl doing anything about it unless Howl was the one who cursed him in the first place? Or is Howl not really that powerful of a wizard? And then we also went down the slippery slope of the fact that somehow Calcifer and Sophie can talk about how they're under a spell but can't say what the spell is. And I feel like that's a good loophole where she could have been like, hey, I'm under a spell. And Howl could have been like, let's figure that out.
Yeah.
Like, it felt weird that I was like, come on, you should have to, like, and of course, when we get to the point where she is talking about it and she, like, the words get, like, fully stuck, I was like, okay, I'm fine, but also.
Yeah.
Shouldn't even be allowed to say you're under a spell.
That's a good point. And I want you to remember to ask me about that, specifically the spell and the discussion of talking about it at the end if I forget to talk about it.
And I'm still, after watching it, and maybe I'll give it a rewatch. Maybe I'll not have an Aperol spritz and watch it again. But even at the end when the curse is lifted, and it is Calcifer his heart?
Okay. So 5 years before the story takes place.
Great.
Howl is training to be, no, he's not training. He's just set up as a wizard. He goes out into like the marshes, I think. I have the specifics. I'm not going to check it right now. And he goes and he catches a falling star. All right. Mm-hmm. Do you remember at the end, there's like this little, so he caught the falling star. Now, when the stars are falling, they're really terrified. They're about to die. And he catches him and says, like, they don't give exactly the conversation, but it's basically Howl gives Calcifer his heart to attach to so Calcifer won't die. Get it, Miranda?
Ah.
What happens is he says, I'll give you my heart so you don't die, but Calcifer is now attached to Howl's house and sort of is a servant for Howl.
Right, okay.
So he lives, so yes, Calcifer is attached to Howl's heart. Howl is heartless. And that's part of his thing is there's a lot of hints dropped like, yeah, Howl's really heartless. He breaks a lot of girls. He's like, doesn't care about women because he's heartless. And it's okay, what is it? It's literally, So, I don't think that's entirely clear.
No.
But it makes more sense when you learn in the book that, like, the Witch of the Waste also has a fire demon who does things for her. And so Howl and Calcifer are connected because Howl is what is keeping Calcifer alive. So if damage comes to Calcifer, damage comes to Howl because now they're linked.
Got it. Okay.
I got on a rant in my notes about Howl and being heartless. And, like, because the thing is that he always acts like he's not paying attention to people. He's leading girls on and breaking up with him. Like he really wants to be an ass, to everyone. Yeah. But then he does really kind things. Like, he doesn't charge people a lot for their spells, or he doesn't charge them at all. Like, Michael was an orphan that he just let live with him. And he made it seem like, oh, I just don't know you're there. But he let him live with him. So
not actually heartless.
He's not actually heartless. Again, maybe in other books, but in this one, I get the impression that he's intentionally being heartless, which would make sense with some things that come on. Sure. But I do love, in the back of this book, there's an interview with Diana Wynne Jones, and she says, girls come up to her and they're like, I would marry Howl. And she's like, no, he sucks. Please don't marry him. Don't say that. So
what I will say is our first intro to Howl in the movie where he puts his arm around her and magics the
call them?
I was going to say the rapey soldiers.
Yeah. Yep.
Hated that scene. Well, I hated the soldiers. It was awful.
Yeah.
Oh, especially when the one soldier was like, "Oh, I like them even more when they're scared." Was like one of the most disturbing, scary things I've ever seen in a cartoon.
No.
And then he just magics them away, and I literally wrote, "Hey, this is the premise of every romantasy book."
Yep.
And we'd argue that most of the romantasy men, heinous.
Oh yeah.
Marry him in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah. Oh, I would.
I would maybe marry Howl.
I have a big old crush on Howl.
Yeah.
If Howl ended up on my doorstep, I'd be like, let's go. Let's do it.
I like Howl with the black hair the most.
You like bowl cut Howl?
I guess.
Yeah.
Bowl cut Howl with bowl cut Sophie.
Oh. What does that even mean?
Her hair was also really short
What's
at
her
the
hair?
end.
Oh yeah, it's a
She
good.
cuts her little. She has to give Calcifer her ponytail for some reason.
Yes. Yep. I forgot.
Anyway,
I forgot. I will say, because you brought that scene up. So when Sophie goes out, what's going on in the town is it's May Day. So it's the like festival of summer starting.
okay.
And there's all these people around, and there's like, she like kind of mentions like guys are like calling after girls and stuff, but Sophie's like a little mouse. You know, she's all dressed in gray. She's like hiding in doorways so that people like don't see her. She's really overwhelmed. And Howl comes up to her and he's like, "Where you going, little mouse? Like, I'll take you where you need to go because you look really afraid of everything." And she's like, "No." And she runs away from him.
And that's it.
That's it. She doesn't know he's Howl.
Sure.
She just knows he's the most flamboyantly dressed man there. So when they switched it to like, when the soldiers were like, "Oh, little mouse," and I'm like, oh, "Don't you dare."
Yeah.
I'm like, that is what Howl says.
Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. All right.
But that's their first time meeting, but you don't know it's him. I do also want to know, because we're talking about him, did the green slime scene make sense?
It looked like he was having a tantrum over the color of his hair.
Good.
That's all I caught.
It.
And he turned into a pile of slime that needed to be washed in the shower.
Yep. Good. So it translated.
Okay.
That's exactly what's going on.
Okay, great.
Yep.
I was like, oh gosh, am I missing
I think it
something?
makes a lot more sense when you've got Book Howl, who's a brat.
Yes.
He's a big old brat. I don't think Christian Bale is a brat.
This tantrum came out of almost nowhere for me. When he was like suddenly ginger and then or whatever shampoo she had used made him whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but I was like, he didn't strike me as vain at all before this. Now, if there had been like a quick glance in a mirror every once in a while, or like
would have conveyed
something. I mean, whatever. But like, I was just like, are you serious?
Okay, so that was the impression that I got. Is I was like, I don't think movie Howl makes sense with this choice, but they're still trying to keep things in some way canonical.
Sure.
God, I love that word.
You're good at saying it too.
It's real fun. It slips off it's nice.
Feels good on the tongue.
There we go.
A good mouth feel.
Yeah.
I love saying that about words.
Yeah, really? Isn't that a food word?
It's a food word.
Yeah, that's all right. It could be a word too.
It's a Paul Hollywood special if you watch a Great British Baking Show.
Oh, oddly enough, I don't.
I think you'd like it.
I think I would too. My whole family watches it. They watch every season that comes out. I don't. I don't know what it is.
Such an anomaly. I love you.
Thanks. But
okay, yeah.
Yeah. So in Howl's bathroom, there's spells for all these different things. He has a skin spell, like powder. He has drying powder. He has, lots of different things. So it's kind of giving the implication that everything that he is like magical. All of his appearance is magical. Sophie goes searching through because she's trying to find girls' hearts. Like, she's trying to find their souls or their hearts and like weed it out and find out like how she can save them. It's not like super gallant, but she's nosy. She's a nosy Parker.
I mean, she's 90. What else you got to do with
your
time?
What are you going to do? And so when she's cleaning everything, the implication, we don't know for sure, but it seems like, I mean, if Howl did it himself, I wouldn't be surprised if he did it and then to make her life miserable because he wanted to throw a fit. Because he's like that, because Book Howl's a brat. His hair turns a slight shade of pink and he's very, very upset. and he fills the house with green slime, but they toned down, I think they had to tone down the tantrum, but you're correct, it's a tantrum. He like makes the whole house scream so loudly that they have to leave because they can't be in the room. And so then when the screams die out, they come back in and the whole thing, he's covered head to toe. It's like sliding on. It's going to kill Calcifer. Like he's risking Calcifer with this tantrum.
Which that does happen in the movie.
It does. I just don't think it matches Christian Bale.
No.
But it does make... So in
book context makes total sense. In movie context,
in book
is strange.
It's a little weird.
I thought he was like legitimately dying.
Oh.
And I didn't
you didn't get it. It was just, I can't live if I'm not beautiful. Oh, you thought he was dying. Like, I can't live if I'm not beautiful.
Or I was like, how is this tantrum somehow, is he expelling so much magic that he's somehow going to die?
Oh.
Like, and I was like, and he's this upset over his hair color that like, he's doing whatever and like willing to kill Cal. Like, I was like, what? Because you're not blonde anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, I literally... Halloween to die because he's not blonde is insane.
Yeah, it's totally nuts.
It's insane.
It's totally nuts.
Granted, me and two of my friends now are like, should we be blondes? So, I don't know. Howl, I get it, kind of. You kind of get it. Blondes do have more fun.
Do they?
It is the talk of the town.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope you have more fun when you go blonde. I don't know if I ever had exponentially more fun when I was blonde.
I didn't.
Though I did like my dark brows in contrast. I thought that was an interesting...
A little Cara Delevingne of it all.
Since we're talking about Howl,
yeah,
let's talk about Sophie real quick.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think Sophie's actually the most accurate part of the entire movie.
Probably.
Yeah. She believes she's never going to amount to anything. When she gets old, she's really comfortable. And being old gives her the freedom to be fully expressed. So it takes away her filter. You know, so she becomes sassy and commanding and... I think they did that. Do you think they did that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The only question I have, and maybe this is the time for it.
Yeah.
The animation kept changing so much that I wasn't sure if it was an accident or on purpose. Like, I don't know. Like, when she's first 90 and looking old as all get out, versus like towards the end, she just looked 40.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand if the curse was like wearing, but then other times she was like fully Sophie. Stop it. Like there were like two scenes where she was young Sophie, and I didn't know why. You're a menace to society, and I didn't know why.
Yep.
And so I have in my head and in my notes that I need Ariel to explain the three versions of Sophie. Young Sophie, which I think I understand, right?
Yeah.
But like, why is sometimes old and why is sometimes young?
Yep.
I ask.
You ask the good questions.
Thank you. With the best words.
All the words. That's a word right there. When they started doing that in the movie, I also went, what is happening?
Okay, good.
So she does not... so here's the thing. The book's all from her perspective. So do I know if she ever doesn't look old? I don't. It's not noted. Nobody notes that she doesn't look old until she gets to the end and the curse is lifted. And then she goes straight back to being young again. But I've been trying to think about what was the point that they were making. Now, I think that Howl's Moving Castle is a discussion of the way we view ourselves is how we come off. So if we view ourselves as an old woman who has nothing going on, we become an old woman who has nothing going on. Howl views himself. He's like intentionally like, I'm a bad person, or I'm heartless, or I have to lie to get things done. And so he comes off that way. That's maybe a little more of a stretch. But the whole thing about Sophie, at one point they talk about, and we'll talk about the spell. At one point they talk about that there's two layers to her spell. They don't explicitly explain it all until the end, but the witch put a spell on her, but she's also putting a spell on herself. By the end of it, the witch's spell is gone, and it's only her spell left, I think, is the deal. So what I think they're doing in the movie is, because I noticed she's young when she sleeps.
Yep.
And then she gets young when she does brave things. So my theory is that when she gets bravery, she gets younger. And so they played with as she becomes more courageous or...
okay.
Because, like, we're not afraid of things when we're sleeping, is my theory. You know?
Speak for yourself.
I know,
Ever have
right?
a nightmare?
I know. I thought that immediately. But that's what I think is going on.
Yeah.
It's not what's going on in the book. In the book, she's an old lady the whole time. And it's kind of funny because, like, it's a romance. Howl never sees her young. He knows it's her. At a certain point, Howl knows it's her. But he only assumes that she's young and pretty. He falls in love with this old woman, you know? Like,
We love it.
And they're not in love, but, like, you can tell, like...
Cougar. Jeez,
she's
Sophie.
90 years old,
Yeah.
and he's like, at the end, he's like, I was hoping it was you, you know?
Little mouse.
Yeah. He's like, I was hoping it was the scared girl that I met that one day. It's really sweet.
I'm going to cry.
I cry every time at the end.
I'm going to have to read this book.
For no good reason.
Should I just take it from you today?
6 times.
Do I take it from you
I cry
today?
every time. I'm thinking about it. I don't know.
I'm
I'm
seeing you
so
in 2
attached.
weeks.
That's the only thing. It would have to be returned promptly with no dog ears.
No dog ears. I'm a bookmark girl right now.
Oh, good. Thank God.
Well, other people's books I would never dog ear.
Thank you. As long as it comes back to me
Yeah.
in 2 weeks, I think I can let it go.
It fits my theme of the month of only reading books written by women. So
Perfect. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
And it's about a woman.
we love it. Happy International Women's Day, everyone.
Oh,
This will come out way after. But
way,
we're
way
here.
after.
We're here. We are women, and we are recording. All right.
One thing I will say, just a side thought, I do love that they gave old lady Sophie like a really prominent nose.
Yes.
Because Howl is like always calling her out for being nosy and then specifically
funny.
talking about her nose. He's like, oh, I saw your nose poking out from behind the wall because she was spying on him. Now, Sophie's well done. It's time to get into the characters that were dropped or very adjusted.
Okay.
First character, little adjustment, not that important, but it's Michael.
Not Markle?
Not Markle. Michael
That's weird.
is 15.
Not
7?
7?
Yeah. So Michael
10.
does not need to put on disguises to take care of anything. Michael was an orphan. His parents died. He wound up sleeping on Howl's doorstep of one of the entrances. And he's like, Howl walked out. I walked in. Howl never made me leave. And 6 months later, he said I could be his apprentice. That's Michael.
I love that story.
Yeah, Michael's real sweet. And Michael is in love with Sophie's youngest sister, Martha.
Oh, hey, goodbye.
Martha does not exist in the movie. They combined her with the middle sister, Letty.
Great.
So when at the beginning she goes to the bakery to visit Letty and everyone's like, oh, Letty, and Letty's blonde and stuff. Martha works at the bakery. It's very complicated. But they basically took the two sisters and they threw her together.
Smash them together.
Now, Letty is actually a very pertinent plot line. So by getting rid of Letty, they got rid of a big motivation for Howl, for Sophie, moving the story along. A lot of characters are tied in with Letty. So Letty's super beautiful. Howl is pursuing Letty almost the entire book. So, yeah. The reason people say Howl eats hearts is because Howl sent Michael out into each town to blacken his name so that people wouldn't like him and wouldn't rely on him. And what Michael did is he just started repeating things that angry aunts said about him when Howl would break their daughter's heart. So be like, oh, he ate her heart, things like that. He took her soul. And so everyone thinks he eats hearts because that's what Michael said. So when...
This is not a tangent that's worthy.
Continue. When Howl starts pursuing Letty, Sophie is originally like she wants to save Letty from Howl. And then the reality is like
she wants
she's
to be
jealous.
with Howl.
She's
Yeah.
But I want to know what the tangent was that you skipped. What did you do?
So when my high school boyfriend broke up with me, I made my Facebook status. He Ate My Heart, which was a reference to a Lady Gaga song because that was all I listened to for like
that
10
tracks.
months.
I think I remember that phase.
And I know that he had seen it because he ended up bitching to a mutual friend of ours. He was like, I'm not a monster. Like, I need a heart. It's so stupid. And I was just like, I was 18. What do you want from me, dude? I also quoted Use Somebody by whatever band that is.
Oh, yeah.
That
I could use somebody.
Yeah, but so I think it's funny because, like, I get it. Like, you eat someone's heart, like, you're not actually doing it, but it's funny that it became, like, the reality for people.
That's what people thought.
Yeah, that he was actually physically eating hearts. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, he's just a brat. Just a big old brat, and he pursues a woman until she falls in love with him, and then he walks away. And he does it over and over and over.
What a monster.
And they say that they'll know that Howl is really in love when he doesn't spend 2 to 3 hours getting ready in the mirror before he leaves the house. So Howl will spend 2 hours in the bathroom just like making himself beautiful. And Sophie is like, he must really love them. And they're like, no. When he doesn't spend 2 hours will be the day he actually loves somebody. So when he saves her at the end and he doesn't spend 2 hours in the shower, you're like, oh my God, he loves her. Sweet.
So they technically kept the name Letty.
They did.
But
she was
nothing else.
No, she wasn't.
So, but she was more of Martha, or just nobody.
She's nobody, because Martha does have lighter hair. Letty has really long brown hair. Basically, at the beginning, their father dies, and he racked up a lot of debt sending them to school. And so their stepmother, who you do see, like, she's a beautiful
She looks just like Letty.
And she was the
First time we see her, I was
She
confused.
is technically Martha's biological mother. She's not Letty and Sophie's biological mother. And at the end, when she, like, betrays Sophie to... That's not real.
I did not know what was happening in that scene.
Yeah.
I'm fully on record. I have no idea what that scene was.
She was leading Madame Solomon to...
Howl?
To Howl.
Sophie.
Because Sophie's with Howl.
Okay.
So,
okay.
That's not real. Doesn't happen.
Okay.
They all have a big party, and she's very happy about the whole thing. She's totally... Well, no. She thinks Howl's going to eat Sophie's heart, but she's okay. But yeah, so when the stepmom basically... She's like, I can't support everybody with all this debt. So she sends Letty to work at the bakery. She sends Martha to work with another witch to become an apprentice, and Sophie becomes...
The Hattery.
She is the apprentice at the Hattery. And the whole thing is that there's, like, everyone knows that, like, the youngest is the one who goes to seek their fortune. The oldest is the one who nothing ever really good happens to. And so Letty and Martha switch. They're like, oh, I don't want to be a witch, and I don't want to work at a bakery. So Martha ends up at the bakery.
All right.
So here we go.
Right. Okay. Fully gone.
Yeah. It's not important, but they got rid of her. Another thing, speaking of beautiful women, the Witch of the Waste. From everything I can read, the Witch of the Waste is a stunner. And she changes her appearance depending on how she feels. She is 50 years older. Like, she's very, very old. She was tormenting the land 50 years ago. And so they were correct in her being old. But one of the reasons Howl states for the witch putting a curse on him, because the Witch of the Waste puts a curse on him, one of the reasons he adds is that he pursued her. Mm-hmm. And they do mention in the movie that he pursued her, and then he was like, but that she wasn't really beautiful. And I'm like, that man pursued that woman. Really? He was like, damn, gotta hit that. Really?
I want it.
Yeah. It didn't totally track for me. But here's the thing about the Witch of the Waste.
Tell me.
She's the main villain of the book.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, she never joins the family. She never becomes that old woman who they carry around with her. That's when they're like, another addition to our family. No, Howl would never be like, people. He'd be like, get them out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
No, she tries to kill them.
Great.
She wants them all dead. Her and her fire demon want everyone dead. Well, no. They technically, whatever.
Right.
For lack of a much more in-depth discussion, she's out to kill Howl and Calcifer. Actually, what she's out to do, she's out to take body parts from different people and put them together and then make that person the king.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's go, Witch of the Waste.
Now, the movie was like, never mind. Let's make Madame Solomon. Madame Solomon's not a character.
When you kept saying Solomon, you were, in regards to the book, it sounded like you were saying he.
And not she.
And not she. And I just was like, I'll get my answers.
Yeah.
The time will come for me.
Madame Solomon is taken the name and the position of Wizard Solomon.
Sure. Okay.
And they do mention that Madame Solomon is Howl's teacher. She's like,
Yes.
I taught Howl what he knows. There is a character, her name's Madame Penstemon. And Madame Penstemon is Howl's teacher. So they took Madame Penstemon's character, took Wizard Solomon's job, took the Witch of the Waste being the bad guy, and clocked them together into Madame Solomon.
Hey.
And they included Prince Justin and made him the scarecrow. And, you know, I'll answer any questions you have, if you have any about the scarecrow, but I cannot explain his character to you because it's so much of a spoiler, it ruins it.
So if I read it, because if
you read it,
I do want to read it.
And the thing is, this book is quite complicated.
Yeah.
It's great, but she at the end throws so many things at you. I've read it a lot of times. At one point, I had to write down. I had to write down this character, then an arrow to this thing, and then an arrow to this thing.
Okay.
Because I couldn't keep it all in order.
Yeah.
So when they were trying to dumb this thing down, there's so many threads that got cut.
Sure.
You know? I will say, though, the scarecrow is not a helper who she's in love with. She's not in love with Prince Justin.
Right.
He doesn't come to take care of her or assist her in any way.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. So there we go.
I don't have any questions about Prince Turnip.
Yeah, Turnip Head. He is not called Turnip Head. Though I will say he really is important to people. I watched TikTok the other day of somebody.
People love Turnip Head.
They got a tattoo of Prince Justin Turnip Head, and I went, this movie speaks to people.
It does.
It really speaks to them. So, yeah.
That's okay.
And no.
That's allowed. Hey, we love it.
I have movies that speak to me, too. Because the book is an attachment to me doesn't mean I think the movie is, I think, you know, they serve different purposes. How many times am I going to say that about these books and these movies? To wrap up with my final thoughts before we get into the Q&A.
Yeah, which I might not have any.
Oh, I might have answered everything?
Yeah.
Nice. The movie did what The Giver did. It took a skeleton and then expanded. So where the Giver was like, we're going to add more action, more romance. The movie was like, we're just going to change the central theme.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of things that are correct. Like Calcifer's position in the household is correct. Obviously, he's a lot more appealing to look at than the Calcifer in the book would be. But the tone is different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Did you feel like the movie was a lighthearted romp?
No, it was heavy.
It's quite heavy.
It's heavy.
Oh, Howl never becomes a bird, by the way.
I love Bird Howl.
He's a cat and I think he might be a seal at one point. He's a dog. Oh, I forgot about the dog. It's not really relevant.
I for sure thought that dog was Howl.
Yeah, right?
Which you're supposed to,
You're
right,
right,
in
yeah.
the movie. And I was like, oh, this is a fun loophole. Howl now knows fully about the curse. Wasn't Howl.
Oh, that's fun. Let me fill you in on that because we're at the end. And I don't mind spoiling the book. Howl actually does know she's cursed and he knows it's her. And he tries to take the curse off of her. And I think he's able to get the witch's curse off of her, but not
Whatever her own curse.
And everyone knows. So it's basically at the end, she gets really upset because everyone knows that she's cursed herself. And but no one tells her, you know? So I got that one this time around. But yeah.
Interesting. That's all I've got.
Good.
I was very focused on her fluctuating animation.
Yeah, that really
was my biggest question.
What's really the distraction for you?
Huge distraction.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to play with the curse comes from something in her, so when she changes, then it goes away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny because I'm like, some of these I'd be like, okay, which do you think is better? I don't even think it's remotely fair to say one is better than the other. They're two totally different things. They're just very different. I'm going to be honest. I'm waiting for the day when the rights get bought again and somebody does it, because I want to see Howl as I know Howl, and all, it's like, you've never seen this movie. I'm trying to think of a better example, but like, this is like a Nanny McPhee kind of story. This is like a countryside fairy tale in Britain kind of story.
Yeah,
very gold and pinks and blues and quippy Brits being quippy Brits, and
interesting. Okay, that's cool.
That's how I view it. I think the color palette on this book really sums up how I feel about the tone. But that's all right. That's where we're at. That's the book. That's the movie. I think that's all I got.
That's all she wrote.
Yeah. You're hosting the next episode.
I am.
Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games, book 1.
Book 1.
Of a trilogy.
Do you want me to look it up?
It should be Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay.
That's a good point.
So that should be a trilogy.
And I had never watched Hunger Games. I had made it the 20 years.
Cannot wait. I think it came out in 2012, so only like 13 years. Calm down.
Okay. I never saw it. It was...
I cannot wait.
Though I feel like I'm like parts of it I must have seen. I'm like, it must have played
at
like a restaurant when, like I caught like scenes here and there. Anyway.
Save it.
I'm done. What? All right. We'll link to the next episode, guys. Okay. Anyway, like we always say, this is the Book Watchers Club. I guess that's new.
Yep.
But I'm Ariel.
I'm Chelsea.
You guys are awesome. Keep reading.
Keep watching.
Hey.
Bye. Join the club.
That was join the club. That was a good anime goodbye. It was perfect.
Wasn't it?